How are you doing out there in the world of nonverbal intercommunication here today? Our class is winding down, and I wanted to take a deeper look at lying and lying behaviors. I think that's something everybody was, or many of you were particularly interested in, and just in general, it's if you're going to tell people, yes, I've had graduate training in nonverbal communication, we need to know a little bit more about it than your average person. Now, I love this cartoon, by the way. Yeah, don't wag your tail out there when you're trying to play poker. I was talking to a guy yesterday I ran into. He's a policeman, a deputy sheriff here in Yavapai County, where I now live, and I was just curious, and we were talking about this eye detection software that we evaluated recently, and lie detection, eye pupil measurement software, whatever it was. And the class appears to be pretty unanimous that, yeah, this probably doesn't work too well, and it certainly has its legal issues. And so I was talking with the deputy sheriff, and he said, yeah, we can't use lie detection equipment it's not admissible in court. And so I've always felt that police officers were pretty good at lie detection, that they probably know as much about it as many people. And I was surprised to hear our friend say that, his name was Kyle, and Kyle said he had about 1 hour of training on lie detection in the police academy. And I'm thinking, really, 1 hour? You have to talk to people every day that could be lying to you, and it would be very handy to be better than average at this. And here in this class, you've already had more than 1 hour of training in this, not direct training, but so I thought we'd go deeper into this. I think he needs more hours of it. Seems like 2 4-hour sessions might get you started in the ballpark of being pretty good at suspecting. And then the police have different methods. They don't use the lie detector, of course. They make you tell and retell your story. They cross-check your story. They check it with the known facts. And I think that's a pretty good way to go about doing lie detection. It's more of a research into the story. Find out, is the story really true? Yeah, it needs narrative fidelity. It needs to have verisimilitude. All of these things to be, yes, this could have happened that way. I can believe your story. And I once got out of trouble with the police, I'm ashamed to admit today, and I was caught with a stolen bike, and it was my friend's bike, and he was out of town for a month, and he asked me if I'd keep his bike for him, and so I was riding it around, and I got caught with it. So I lied to the police. I said, yeah, it's probably stolen, and I know who did it. And there was a guy that my friends and I really hated, and he was older than us and stole money from us once, and so I told the policeman that my friend bought it from him for $10. That was the going rate for a hot bike back in 1974. And the police did not arrest me. They took me to the station. My father had to come get me. My father gave me a good grilling. It was an event that caused me to begin to get out of that world. But the story I told, I knew. Maybe there's a bit of sociopath in me that I have certainly not nurtured ever since then. I don't want to nurture it. I sense it at times, that ability to shut down the emotions, to feel no empathy, to do what's best for you, and who cares what happens to other people. I'm digressing here. I think it's something that can be developed in a person if they really want to become a criminal, that it's not something you're just born with and you don't have any choices about it, you've got to deal with it. No, I think people nurture it within themselves. They take advantage of others, they find it gets them ahead. And yeah, beware of that sociopath. They're good liars. And that's why that story came to mind there. So, yeah, my tail doesn't wag. I don't lie anymore, by the way. I haven't since I decided to become a Christian and be religious, and have done my best to live my faith out. But prior to that, yeah, I learned some things the hard way. All right. We have, just a quick review here, about 12 channels I think we've settled in on. There might have been a 13th and a 14th in the first few weeks of class. I was sure seeing them. But let's just stick with these 12 right now. Here's all these channels that are going on. And the real issue here is, what we would call channel discrepancy. We don't need to go through these. Do notice that the eyes have a normal eye behavior, or abnormal. We control conversations with the eyes, as well as we do gazing. So some of these do a couple of things. With touch, we can be touch adverse or touchy. But I think we're on to all this already. The voice has different things happening. Some things you're not really conscious about happening. Other things you're very conscious. You're mad, you're going to yell at somebody and let them know it. And so I've got the voice a couple of different ways here. But recognize some of these channels do have different aspects to them. But what we're looking for in lie detection, and this is probably not the kind of, not the polygraph test where we're going to hook you up to a machine. This is more of an intimidating tactic that, oh no, they're going to catch me. What am I going to do? And maybe they're just looking at other things at that point. Not sure what the lie detector person is thinking there, if he really trusts his machines, but I would think a seasoned detective, if they do a lie detector, like it's just an act. They're looking for secondary effects here. But with channel discrepancies, and this isn't just about lying, it's about somebody who's feeling uncomfortable maybe, or somebody just hiding a little something. They're not necessarily lying to you. Somebody's nervous. It's going to leak out. We can call this leakage as well. If you want to call it a tell, I think that term doesn't serve us as well as maybe calling something leakage. And often things will leak out in more than one place once the leaking starts. But they would be channel discrepancies. Oh, your channels aren't lined up the normal way they normally are when I normally interact with you. What's going on here? What's really going on? Because your nonverbals are telling a different story, or several of them are. And the story, there's incongruity there. These things shouldn't go together. You shouldn't be smiling at me but having a nervous tapping foot at the same time. What is going on? Context plays into it. The situation, the particular situation you're in, even the time of day, if people are tired, if people are alert and sharp, all of these things, there's so many variables. And that's why we do learn to trust our intuitions when it comes to non-verbally communicating. But when you know something's off, your intuitions are telling you, look deeper, then look deeper. Look at this. Look for the channel discrepancies, look for the leakage, try to identify it, think about it. Ask yourself, what is the range of these things that this could mean? And often there are very good explanations. And if you ask somebody, what's up with you today? You seem off. They may tell you exactly what it is, and it explains everything. Oh, no, nothing's wrong. I'm fine. Well, don't want to tell you something. Is it a lie? If it harms you, yes. If it's something they know that would harm you, absolutely. If it's something that's private, I would hope they would have the courtesy to tell you, I'm dealing with some private things and I'm not comfortable talking about them with anybody. That's the right thing to say in that case. So, a lack of activity in a channel can communicate something, or where you expect to see something, and maybe it's just the face going deadpan, and all of a sudden they're not giving you any facial expression whatsoever, just looking at you with nothing. That would be a lack of activity. Or You know, the fake smiles, yeah, it's all good. It's fake smiles. We have overactivity that just doesn't come out right. It doesn't work, and we sense it quickly. And it's, you know, I'm not expecting anybody to take a class like this, even really study this for 5 years, and be that good that you can instantly look somebody up and down and identify 3-channel discrepancies, and they are typical of these things. I don't know anybody that's that good at this, and in fact a lot of people in the world of communication don't communicate very well, even though we study it. And partly because, well, in my case, I was poor at communicating and I wanted to get better. And I just liked it here and found a place where my career developed. So the lack of activity communicates something, or overactivity also can communicate something. Each of these would be leakage in the channel. And so watch for what's not happening that you might expect. And all of these things, there's so much to look for. We really do trust the intuitions, but it's just a prod in the back that says, look deeper, figure this out. And that's how we should take it, rather than, I got a good feeling that you're full of crap and telling me a big fat lie. Maybe they're not. Maybe there's a good, reasonable explanation for why they're acting the way they're acting. So these channels, here's a guy just coming down the street here, dressed all nice, walking with confidence, has his sunglasses on, fancy haircut. He's sending all kinds of messages out here. And there's 3 different kinds, or 3 different clusters of messages. This is what I want to get at here today. These channels get linked together in different ways within us. And I'm going to call this first group pre-programmed channels. These are things that you have become through your life, through the kind of life you've lived out, through the choices you've made, as well as just getting programmed by your family, social forces working upon you. Your posture is one of those. You know, we might all have lazy posture if we didn't have parents that talk to us about our posture. So we have social programming going on. Our posture, our vocal quality, mine was always very lazy and very weak. And reflecting the idea that, yeah, I was a weak person inside as well, and I couldn't put strength into my voice for many years. Personal space, you've been programmed. Things have happened to you. You're not comfortable being touched by people, maybe because you were only a child. Somebody else, no problem with everybody in your space, or the touch that couldn't come with that because you had 4 brothers and sisters and your cousins came over to play quite a bit. All of these things, we become it as we mature into adulthood. We learn how to regulate conversation with our eyes. Look at me when I'm talking to you. And we learn to do that, and we start looking at people when they talk to us. We look away from people when we don't want to give up our turn at talk. We'll look back at them right when we're ready to give up our turn. We program ourselves this way, or we're pre-programmed just by our culture, by our family, by so many aspects. And then we have a series of links here between these channels, and I would call these the conscious channel choices. The clothes you wear. You're picking those out after about, age 10 or so? I don't know. With some kids it starts younger. They want to pick their own clothes. But prior to that, your parents pick them. But at some point, you start choosing, I'm going to wear this. I want to present this image to the world. Along with that comes the artifacts you have with you, the kind of phone you have, the kind of hat you may wear, or your sunglasses. These are some popular artifacts these days. The kind of shoes you're wearing. Oh, that's part of attire. The clothes you're wearing themselves. You get to choose these. They're conscious choices. You can remake yourself and become a kind of a different person in a way if you want. Your body itself. Are you going to work out and try to have the healthiest, strongest body you can, or do you really it's just not that important to you. I don't want to say you don't care about it. We all care about it when we have health trouble from eating the wrong junk food all the time. But our body itself is something we do have control over, and we think about it, and we decide to start exercising and staying healthier. Of course, that helps your posture. That puts a pep in your step, your gait, so to speak, as you walk around. The amount of eye gazing we do. There's one we choose moment by moment even. I mean, and now and then it's like, I can't take my eyes off this person. They're so outrageous or so unusual. It's rude to keep staring like that, so I'm going to look off the other direction and right back to them. Or just feeling attraction to somebody and just looking at them, and literally you don't want to stop looking at them, and you're hoping they notice you looking. Maybe. Your vocal expressions emotionally. Yeah, when you get angry, you put the anger in there. When you're happy, you can... a lot of it just comes naturally, but there's other times when you are consciously inserting into your voice, along with the words you're saying, the kind of emotion you want people to know you're feeling. And last there's what I want to call these subconscious controlled nonverbal messages that are happening. Now, these might be where the leakage occurs the most. It can occur with the others that probably not the ones that are pre-programmed so much, or the ones you've chosen, like what clothes you wear. But sometimes it's there. But I think this is where it really is, because these channels, they're all linked together. They're supposed to be presenting kind of a united front about what you're communicating, how you're feeling at the time, who you are as a person. Maybe not so much who you are, but who you're performing at the moment. It's like we're on autopilot here in some way. Our vocal inflections, whether we're going to touch people or not, or how much we touch people. A lot of this is just happening naturally, and when a naturally touchy person gets around their friends and they're not touching anymore, the friends very quickly notice, as you know. Gestures, a lot of our gestures, we could go back to our conscious communication. We do have a lot of these emblem type gestures that work very well, and we use them consciously. But there's other gestures we just don't. I don't want to talk about this right now. Did you know your hands went up like this? I did it on purpose. Get back, push you away physically, in a sense, when you're wanting to shut things off verbally. You might even step back a little bit. And all of this is just kind of happens. And being good at non-verbally communicating means you're reading that as well. But the person who's doing all this doesn't necessarily have full conscious control of everything they're doing. The proxemics, just backing off from somebody a little bit, or getting a little bit closer. Mentioned two different kinds of gesture. There's the natural ones and then the emblems. The peace symbol, okay, whatever. Our vocal inflections right on this plane also, enhancing, clarifying, using the voice to communicate well, to give expression, to emphasize, to lower the voice and get people to listen in, because you don't want everybody to hear. It just kind of happens. Some choices are made there, but a lot of it just happens by habit, by pre-programming yourself. But all of these channels should be linked together, the facial expressiveness along with everything else. So yeah, she's got a real tell here, playing poker, doesn't want to lose money. The biting the nails, does she even know she's doing it? It just happens when she feels anxiety about something, start biting the nails a little bit. That's the kind of tell, the classic sense that, if you play poker with the same people all the time, you'll probably figure those out. But in real life, we're interacting with different people all the time, and multiple people, and maybe not getting much time with various people. And so the point here is recognize that these channels work together subconsciously, and this is probably where, if you're looking for leakage and channel discrepancy, the most likely place to see it happening is and don't think in the terms of the channel, because you saw there on these lists that the other channels are, each one of the channels can be in these three lists. What you're looking for are the things that are happening just out of communication patterns and habits that this unique individual has developed, and you know them a little bit, and you're seeing something that doesn't fit, something that you should see or something that you shouldn't see. And there's your leakage. Now, I do like the police method of lie detection in asking for the story again. Now, tell me this again. I want to go over this again. Didn't get this part. Asking for more details. And of course, you know, we've got some classic things. When you're making up a story, you tend to look off in the Neverland instead of, well, actually, that's when you are remembering. You might look away. What was it that happened? Ah, I got it. And you're making eye contact again. Too much eye contact. But it's the retelling and the retelling of stories that often bring out the lies people are telling. But then there's the other kind of deception where, is this really who you are? Or are you being somebody you're not? You tell it with the salesman. Too often you go with a salesperson and they're just all excited about this product and going to make you have a better life and they're your best friend, and you can tell there's just fakeness in there. It's not really them, they're just selling you something. Good salespeople learn how to get better and better at that, really be genuinely honest. And if they're an excellent salesperson, they really do want what's best for you and might even tell you, here's what you need to really do, and send you somewhere else. Okay, let's wrap this up then. We haven't talked about this yet at all, but these intercultural differences in nonverbal communication, they can be just as radically different as our languages themselves. Yet in other ways, they're not. I remember going to Mexico and living there, trying to learn Spanish, and we went to this fellow's house, and he reached out to us and he did this gesture. And I recognized, I was a little older, about 30, that, oh, that means come here. They just turned the hand upside down there. So we have these interesting intercultural differences with nonverbals. In Argentina on a trip, proxemics, everything was in one level. People were right in your face, and they're just casual acquaintances. If they're really good friends, they're literally right in your face. But as an American, it felt uncomfortable, but I just had to tell myself, it's okay, I'm in this person's country, and I need to roll with this. It's okay. Anytime you visit a country or you're going to be serious about living there for a while, you can find books and get help with a lot of these differences. But at the same time, there's a lot of universality too. We've got the 6 universal facial expressions from Paul Ekman. But even like, come here or come here, well, it's just the way the hand is. And maybe there's an element of status in there that I say come here this way to a child, and if it's to somebody older, we say it that way. I don't know, I'm guessing there. But there's a metaphor built in to that symbol. I was told in Mexico, you don't do the thumbs up. Hey, everything's great. That's like giving somebody the middle finger in our culture. And so there are these built-in metaphors to some of the nonverbal emblems we have. But a lot of these channels are the same. You can tell when somebody's angry from another country. You don't need to know the language. You can hear laughing. It's the same everywhere. There's a lot of universality. But learn what the differences are. Eye contact is one that perhaps may differ the most, where in many cultures, not giving eye contact to somebody in power is a way of showing respect to them. Where in America, look at me when I'm talking to you. We want the eye contact to know that they're listening. And maybe what I'm missing as an American, and somebody won't make eye contact, is that they're nodding their head ever so slightly to indicate I'm hearing everything you're saying. Little differences like this are definitely there. We have to learn them literally one by one, but there is some universality in it, more than we might think. It's not like the languages being different themselves. It's more like the way Spanish differs from Italian or French, perhaps. Once you learn one of the Romantic languages, that come from Rome, the others are easier to learn. It's more of a matter of pronunciation and small grammar changes. All right. Thanks a lot for watching, and let's dig in more to this idea of channel discrepancy in our discussion post this week. And I also want to take another look at this difference between popular press research and research from the academic world of people that are experts looking at this. And we'll look at that in terms of lie detection this semester here. All right, you have a great day, and we'll talk with you next week.